Welcome back, Solar Flight fans. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about an epic adventure my wife and I had. We flew the Sunseeker Duo from our base in northern Italy to the Mediterranean island of Corsica and stopping at Elba also along the way. This is going to be just a quick overview. First of all, we did not go alone. We had a driver following in our camper van. Simeon Hunter came all the way from Canada to drive for us, and he also brought a drone that he got some epic footage of us flying over the sea, and as you can see here. And we did not normally fly this low over the water, but this was just off of this airfield, Propriano, which is right next to the beach where we were based for a couple days. And the funny thing is, the first night the van couldn't make it over there because there was only ferries in the morning, and so we stayed in a hotel, and my wife and I had to swim across that little channel you see in the beach on the right because there was no other way to get to the town except crossing there. So anyway, hope you enjoy the video, and let's have a look at some of the clips.
Off to Corsica!
So this is the island of Corsica as seen from space. North is to the right, and to the left is the Italian island of Sardinia. And I denoted the airport Propriano, where we first landed, and spent a couple days there. Initially, we were having quite bad weather, and I made a worst case plan in case we had no sun and no updrafts. We could fly just on batteries to first Lucca, and then to Siena, and then hopefully gain enough altitude to go to Elba and on to Corsica. I was hoping to land at this airport Ciosanaccia, but when we asked for permission, we were told that it was controlled by the military, and there wasn't time for us to get permission to land there. So we continued on to Propriano, which was very nice. We never did get to make any exploratory flights down into Sardinia, which was a pity, but we did go to Corte, which is where we launched our return flight going back to the mainland. One of the reasons I wanted to visit this Ciosanaccia airport was I visited that on the ground already, and there was some gliders there, and it turns out it was built by the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II, and they operated B-25 bombers, P-51 Mustangs from there, making raids against the Italian mainland. And it's actually depicted in one of my favorite movies, Catch-22, where they've got B-25s taking off in formation. This was actually filmed in Mexico, but it was meant to be on Corsica. Anyway, the actual flight turned out to be easy. We had really good conditions, and we made it in less than 3 hours, and we could have easily gone on to Corsica or even all the way to the southern end of Sardinia, but we had filed a flight plan, and I stuck to it, wanted to see Elba anyway. So the blue part is where we're at 10,000 feet, and we actually gave up the altitude to land, and I had to start the next day 10,000 feet lower from sea level. So this is passing by the Pisa airport just as we headed out to sea, and there's my intrepid wife navigating as we leave the Italian coastline heading for the open sea. One of the reasons we stuck inland so much is there's always this sea breeze convergence, this purple band you see over the foothills, and this is where an onshore and an offshore wind collide, and it provides excellent updrafts. We were able to ride along, and then it turned into a tailwind, as you can see in the bottom right. All that green arrows are the tailwind. This gives you an overview of all the flights we made, and it's fairly obvious that we could have easily flown direct from Voghera to Corsica, but being over the open sea for that long made me nervous, so I wanted to hug the land more. That's why we went by Elba. The first day is depicted in red, then the next day yellow is going to Propriano. The next day we just made local flights in the mountains, that's the bright green, and the day after that is the light blue flight to Corte. And from there we launched our return flight. We were planning to go all the way to Voghera, but we ended up with really big thunderstorms in the Apennine, and we had to stop at Massa, which we had seen on the way down and considered, although it's a grass field and I don't want to land on grass. But anyway, here you can see it from the air. This was on our way down. The way the weather looked ahead, there was no way I wanted to continue, and being stuck at the beach in the summer is not the bad thing. So anyway, we landed, and nice parking, but the weather was looming. The next day, I didn't think the thunderstorm would hit us, but it made a direct hit, and at the last possible second, we got the Sunseeker Duo into the only available hangar, which was lucky. I think it would have blown away even with the wings folded. So luckily the locals let us poke it into this hangar here. The next day I flew back to Voghera. Here I am taxiing back to get to the runway, and here's the grass runway in front of me, taking off at absolutely sea level. So for this leg of the flight, I flew solo because our driver decided to go see Pisa, and my wife filmed me taking off here off the grass field at Massa, and it was quite difficult to get up because I had basically no sun, no thermals. I just needed to rely on the batteries, which were charged, and try to get up on these foothills behind Massa and try to get into the Apennines, which I did. Anyway, I did get up on the foothills, and it was quite scenic. They're doing a lot of mining for marble. Apparently, Massa is famous for this really high quality marble that they're taking out of the hills, and it's a really large scale operation. Quite impressive to see from the air all this marble being cut out. And I was able to just ridge soar there for a while and recharge my batteries before I set out in the mountains. Hey, climbing out from Massa. First thermal, 5,600 feet. A lot of mining. Incredible mines down here. Look at these things. 57. I wanted to point out that we made this trip without the trailer, so we were hoping the airplane would be reliable enough and able to fly home, which it did, but when you're talking about ferries involved, having to go back for the trailer and maneuver on those roads, it's really not something you want to contemplate. And even putting the airplane in the trailer, even under optimal conditions, is not easy, not to mention thunderstorms and high winds. When I flew the single seat Sunseeker to Sicily, I did have the ground crew bring the trailer on the ferry. So, but that's a much smaller trailer, as you can see. So I know this video didn't cover much of the trip, but it was only meant as a preview, and I would like to know in the comments, if from my viewers here, what they think the best format is to document this trip. If I should do it in chapters, like one video per flight, or one long one covering the whole adventure, and if it's okay to include stills, because we've got a lot of good stills as well as video. This was just mostly random clips, so please let me know in the comments. This is a clip I'm landing with my passenger Simeon, and my wife is driving the van along to get to the end of the runway where we camp. There you can see our van. And this runway, it's quite long, headed towards the beach, and it gets more and more broken up as you get to the far end. So I'm actually holding off here It's amazing how far the SUNSEEKER Duo will go in ground effect with the air brakes closed, even with the windows open like this. So it looks like I might be on the ground here, but I'm not. We're just skimming along, trying to get over all the cracks and weeds growing out of the runway. So anyway, see you guys next time.